Morning guys, Mike here, and what we're doing is we're grinding in my angle plate, and if this is something that may interest you, come on along. Now this angle plate was made in 1966, so that's see 30, 50, 54 years ago. I think it's been re-squared up one time. Once upon a time it was very accurate, but we're going to check it today. So this morning I'm going to go through all the steps that it takes to accurately grind in an angle plate. So here we go. Step one. Step one is you have to clean off your surface plate, and most people nowadays have granite surface plates. If you buy a used one, beware. These things don't stay flat forever. Depending on how they were used and the care that was taken when they were in use, they can have worn dish spots in them, and that's going to throw your accuracy off. But the first thing you have to do, get rid of all the grit and oil on these things. And I'm just using glass cleaner here. Let this dry off a hair bit. It's not going to dry real quick in here this morning because it's a little cool. It's about, let's see, what is it in here? It's 52 degrees, which isn't too bad, but I would like it a little bit toastier. Okay, you can see this begin to dry. And you can tell when it's clean. Your ground surfaces will just sort of float across it. Okay, that should be good enough. Let's put the angle plate back on here. And you can kind of tell. I can feel where it isn't quite dry, but yeah. So that's not too bad. So this is a cylindrical square, and there's a lot of ways to check for squareness, but because I have this one, we'll use this. It's kind of an easy way to check. And I have checked out my cylindrical square, and it is pretty accurate. So here's how we do this. And I'm going to zoom in a little bit so that you can see my readings. This is a height gauge. I'm going to take off my safety glasses so I can see. Let's see, how can I get in here so you can see the indicator? All right, zoom in. Glare this through the viewfinder. I hope you guys can fiddle around and catch a zero exactly. Okay, there's zero. Come down at the end, and I haven't seen this myself. Okay, looks like it's about 6/10 out. So when you're going to grind something in square, you have to have something to use as a master to square it up to. So this is my large angle plate that I made years ago, back in 1968, and I know for a fact that it was very accurate then. It is a weldment. This was welded. I don't know if you can see these. This was welded, or I welded it using 5/32 rod and on DC current. And so it is a weldment, so it is subject to move. So we'll see if it's still accurate. So again, we'll get out our cylindrical square. set a 0. Whatever we're grinding in is only going to be as accurate as what we're using to grind it with. I'm being real careful not to get my bare hands on this surface plate. Today is cool in here, so I'm not sweating, but you know, you definitely don't want to get any oils on this surface plate, and that'll throw you off. Okay, now this is about, it looks to be about 8 or 9/10 out, so it has moved a little bit. Okay, so now let's flop it up on its side. Just about see where the high point is. Okay, 0 and about 1/2 thousandths. So we're 8 or 9/10 out in this direction, and about when I say 1/2 thousandths out in this direction. So you know, that's not too bad. This is an angle plate I use basically on my mill. Gets a little rougher treatment than this one, the small one that I basically just use for grinding. It's probably the most used tool on a surface grinder that you'll have. So right now I'm working on getting my master a little bit more in square. Actually, my master is this bigger angle plate, which I'm going to use to grind my smaller angle plate. And this is the square that was out about 1,000. So what I've done is I've put this little bit of cellophane in here to shim it, and I experimented over on the surface plate. I put the cellophane under there, I checked it with a cylindrical square again, and that brought it in much closer within a few tenths. So okay, so we'll take a cut on this surface, then we'll flip it around, put this surface on the chuck, and we'll grind the larger surface in. So here we go. Okay, so now after taking and shimming it with cellophane and taking a test cut, here's my check. There's a 0, and out here, here's a 0. So I'm okay with that. I think I can trust this. Now I do have to take a cut on this face right here though, and so I'm pretty happy with that. So we'll proceed to do this surface. This is the biggest surface I have to do. I'm not looking forward to it, but let's just get her done. So I'm just curious what the flatness is on this. There's a 0. 0, 0. Turn this plate around. And 0, 0, and 0.